Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Kylie if you're new, and today I am so excited to tell you that my father is here. He is back on my channel yet again. If you remember from a couple of months ago, or gosh, it's been a while. It's been more than a couple months.
In the summer.
In the summertime, he was actually on my channel pretty frequently. He was on my channel maybe every week, every other week or something. A lot of you guys have been finding my old videos and you've been commenting that you want to see more of my dad.
Hard to believe.
No, it's not. The people like you, and so he is back today. As you can tell by the title, we are going to be reviewing the new Hulu original movie starring Sarah Paulson called Run. This film received a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it is fairly well loved by the critics. And this movie is about a girl named Chloe who has suffered major ailments from birth all of her life, who lives with and is cared for by her mother Diane. She is now ready to go off to college, but things definitely do not go as planned. So as always, I will start off with my fun facts, and then we will get into a spoiler-free general review of the movie, and then of course we will get into the spoiler-filled breakdown and go kind of by major plot points, and I will have a bunch of questions to ask for my dad, a bunch of topics to cover, so let's just get right into it. Oh wait, I almost forgot. Today is actually my very first— may I have a drum roll, please? It is my very first sponsorship. I don't really know how to segue into my sponsorship, so here it is.
Wow.
Yes, hello. Today's video is sponsored. This is my first ever sponsorship. But who is my sponsor, you may ask? Why, today's video is sponsored by Stream Locator. Stream Locator is a plug and play, and it works with any Wi-Fi enabled device, and unlike VPNs, this includes all smart TVs, gaming consoles, and any streaming device. Stream Locator also works with no less than 66 of the world's most popular streaming platforms, namely Netflix and Hulu. Stream Locator lets you switch your country on Netflix so you can access the full library, and you can do this on multiple devices. So one person in your house could be watching Netflix from the US while another person watches Netflix from the UK, Canada, wherever you want, baby. But where can you get this product? Well, if you want to get this bad boy right this moment, then you can just click the link down below. Now, in the interest of full transparency, I do get a little commish. Get a little commission every time that you buy one of these products. I just think that it's important for creators to be fully transparent with their subscribers about what they're selling, you know? So if you do decide to get this Stream Locator hub, you are getting an amazing product, but you're also supporting little old me. Thank you so much, Stream Locator, for being my first ever sponsorship. This is so surreal, but now it is time to get back to the video. So once again, a big thank you to Stream Locator for sponsoring this video, but now let's get into it. Okay, so kicking it off with some fun facts, Kiera Allen, who is the actress that played Chloe, also uses a wheelchair in real life, and the filmmakers purposefully wanted to cast a disabled actress, stating that Hollywood rarely casts disabled actors for disabled roles, which is true. When Chloe calls 411, the automated voice gives Derry, Maine as an example of a city and state, and this is obviously a nod to the fictional town from Stephen King's It. There is another Stephen King reference because the pharmacist in this movie is named Kathy Bates, who is a star of Misery, one of Stephen King's most popular movies from the 90s. And finally, the doctor that Diana refers to is Linda Kasabian. Linda Kasabian was a member of the Manson family that assisted in Sharon Tate's murders.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of a heavier one. So not a ton of fun facts yet. I think because this movie is relatively new, there haven't been a ton of interviews done and whatnot. There's just not a ton of information online yet. So we will now segue into our kind of overall thoughts on the movie. I had talked to one of my friends who is the co-host of Our Hollywood, which is actually a really good podcast. It was started by a couple of my friends, and he DM'd me on Instagram because I posted that I was watching this movie, and he asked what I thought of it, and he actually mentioned, after I told him how I felt, he said that he thought that this movie was a cross between Misery and The Act, which I am going to get more into during the spoiler section because I don't want to give anything away plot-wise, but I just thought that was such an accurate description of it, and so definitely check out Our Hollywood, great podcast. Okay, so I haven't told you about this yet, but another person's opinion that I wanted to bring up is actually Stephen King himself. He took to Twitter to say, "Run, no extraneous bullshit, just nerve-splintering terror." And I believe this person that responded is either the writer or the director of this film.
It's the director.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he said...
That's good.
He was freaking out. I would be going nuts too. I just wanted to know, my first question for you. If you wrote and directed a mystery thriller movie that Stephen King took the time out of his day to get on Twitter and praise, how would you react?
I think that I made it.
Yeah.
You know, I must have really nailed it because obviously this person is a fan of Stephen King's, and for him to pick out this movie, which reminded me of Misery, was one of the first things I thought of while I was watching the movie. Then I talked to you afterwards, and I guess everybody thinks of it after they see the movie.
Yeah. If that happened to me, I think I might stop breathing. And then at least for a couple of minutes, and then immediately after that, I would definitely contact Stephen King and I would ask him if he wanted to go get coffee with me. Oh, hi, Indy. Hi. Do you want to say hi?
What?
You gonna jump up by yourself? Oh, here she is. Okay, so now we've covered their opinions. Let's start with our general opinions on this movie. Do you want to go first?
I thought this was a great movie. Just a solid, good suspense, mystery kind of movie. There were times in the beginning where I flashed on Rear Window by Hitchcock. I thought of Psycho. I thought of Misery. I think there's only about 5 locations in the entire film. There are really only 2 actors in this film, the mother and the daughter, and they are fantastic. I did not know that the young lady, Kira Allen, was wheelchair bound. She was great in this movie. Sarah Paulson, I can't imagine anybody else playing the part any better than she does, that's for sure. I was edge of the seat the whole movie. I really didn't have much to say about it in a negative way. I would recommend it to anybody that liked very suspenseful movies because it's an edge of seat one.
I can't believe this cat right now. We just wanted to tilt the camera down a little bit so you could enjoy this lovely cat right
I thought I was going to be the only co-star here. Now I'm sharing it with our cat and Dora.
For my highlights of this movie, it would definitely be Kira Allen and Sarah Paulson. I think Sarah Paulson, that goes without saying because she's just so incredibly talented. Kira Allen, she is a new star. She's a brand new person for me. I also loved how extremely capable she was in this movie despite being bound to a chair, despite having all these ailments. Her characteristics, her character was such a stark contrast kind of to the way that she was depicted, and I really liked that. And the other strong suit for me, which you already touched on, was the cinematography because it definitely gave me Rear Window vibes when she was looking out into the garden at her mother. It gave me Psycho vibes when we were looking up into the house and we could see her looking through the window. It gave me Vertigo vibes when she would look down the stairs or up the stairs. Yeah. Just serious Hitchcockian vibes, which definitely obviously added to the mystery thriller atmosphere of the movie.
I didn't even think about the Kathy Bates tie-in, but one of the things that I wrote down was that I noticed in the movie was that it was Mrs. Bates in the pharmacy. And I was thinking of Bates Motel from Psycho. So I was thinking of that tie-in from Hitchcock, not the Kathy Bates. So it was kind of a doubleheader. And the only time they were in town and went to the pharmacy, they were going to the movies and they showed the sign out in front, and the movie was called Breakout.
It tied into the plot. We won't spoil at the moment. She's switching laps, I think. So now, this might be too distracting, but I'm gonna carry on. For the weaknesses of this movie, there really weren't many in my opinion. We did mention, or I mentioned that this movie was basically kind of a melding of Misery and The Act. And that being said, this movie is a little bit derivative. I can't with you right now. Can you settle, please?
I had no idea she wanted to be on screen so badly.
Me either. She was also in my video last Friday when I was announcing the winner of the giveaway. You were there too.
And you and I picked her up at a shelter, and her name is Dora, which is the name of the witch mother in the Bewitched TV show from the 60s and 70s. There's a little witch horror tie-in on that, even though that one was very lighthearted.
Yeah. So going back to the kind of derivative nature of this movie, I don't think that hinders it. I think the characters are strong enough to where it doesn't weigh on the movie really in any way. I would just say don't get your hopes up expecting something incredibly different, incredibly new, because the story, it does feel somewhat like it has been done before, but it's not in a bad way. I wouldn't say not in a bad way. It feels like it's really paying homage, it's paying tribute to Hitchcock, it's paying tribute to these other amazing Stephen King stories. So it's not a hindrance. I think it's fine.
It's a 2020 version, and Misery's from the early 90s or late 80s, and obviously the Hitchcock stuff is much earlier than that. So it's an updated version, and cell phones even come into play, and the internet come into play in this movie, actually, in a different way.
And it works.
Yes.
Because typically, I think that's why there are so many period piece horror movies, especially especially now, because now we have phones, we have security systems that we can speak to in our houses. We can
cameras on every street or cameras outside.
Yeah, and we can text 911 if we can't speak to the
right.
operator. A lot of magic has been sucked out of the horror genre just because of those limitations, but I think that with this movie, they use those limitations to their advantage.
Did a great job.
And did a great job. Yeah. And it's a present day movie and it totally worked. Just to finish off with that topic, so don't expect anything too crazy new, and also with that, there might be some moments of the movie that feel a little bit slow to you just because you might feel like you've seen it before, but I promise there is enough about this movie that will deliver surprises and great, I guess I would say, action kind of moments that they make up for it. So to wrap up our spoiler-free section, ouch, oh my gosh.
That's the cat, not me.
She's making kitty cookies on my leg and I don't appreciate that. So to wrap up our spoiler-free section, I just want to say that I absolutely recommend this movie. And Dad, what say you?
It's one of the best movies I've seen this year that's been released direct to a streaming service or direct to DV or
wait, it's not DVR.
When you buy it online, yeah.
Goodbye. Hi, I'm editing, and the term that we couldn't remember is video on demand. VOD, if you will.
It's one of the very well done movies this year that's been released while the theaters have been closed. It's a Hulu original. It's perfect for Hulu, actually, too. I think it fits in with the type of movies that Hulu does.
I haven't really seen much from Hulu, honestly. I think this is kind of them starting to just dip their toes in.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally sure if it was a Hulu original or if Hulu just distributed it. Do you actually know?
They called it a Hulu original at the beginning, so that's why
I
picked up on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now on to our spoiler section, and the way that we do this is I just kind of break down the major plot points as they go, so we'll kind of go in the order of events. The very beginning of this movie kind of took me off guard, and I'm talking about the scene where Diane is in this support group and she's saying how she's actually very much ready for Chloe to be off at college. She's ready to go on dates again and stuff like that. She says that her sick and crippled daughter is very capable. She is ready for her to be off on her own. And that really threw me off because I had some preconceived notions about what this movie would be. So I wanted to ask you, when that happened, what direction did you think that this movie was going to go at that point?
Well, it was a great misdirection. She says, well, Chloe is completely ready, and she just rattles all these things off, and then she says, I'll be blankety blank glad that she's out of the house. I haven't traveled or dated this for 17 years. So I'm thinking, wow, what is her mom gonna do? This must be about Sarah Paulson's character going crazy, doing something crazy, but not having to do with Chloe. Chloe's gonna go off to school. So they do a great misdirect at that point.
I agree, but I read it in a completely different way because you're saying that you thought it was gonna be more centered on Sarah Paulson's character, maybe less on Chloe. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Absolutely.
So I thought that because this movie was called Run, I thought that maybe, and because the father was not in the picture, I thought maybe the father was going to come back, and because Chloe was in a wheelchair, maybe the father was kind of crazy, and so Diane and Chloe were gonna have to run away, but there would be complications because she was so sick and in a wheelchair, and so I thought that was kind of the direction we were going.
So they did a good job.
So they did a good job. But we don't watch trailers or anything.
No.
We don't watch teasers or anything because we just don't want things to be spoiled for us. And so maybe there was a teaser or something that led on to what the movie was actually about, but we just didn't see that, which I always recommend. I recommend not watching trailers. Sometimes there can be exceptions with teasers because often teasers will only show you 30 seconds and don't really give anything away. So teasers are usually fine, but trailers, that's a no-go for us.
I go to the theater, and Kylie can attest to this. I probably started it 10 years ago. I'm actually covering my ears, closing my eyes during trailers because as I got more into movies and the whole art of this, I realized I didn't want to know anything going into a movie.
Same.
And I know other people, I love trailers. If I didn't care about spoiling things, they're fun to anticipate. I just think they give too much of the movie away. I would rather go in not having any idea. It's having just somebody say, hey, it's a great movie. Like you said, Sarah Paulson's great in this movie from what I've heard. And that's all I knew. As we said in those opening scenes, you were thinking about this direction, I'm thinking about this direction. If we were in a theater, other people would all have their own ideas. And yet it went right up the middle.
And it just makes all the surprises and the plot twists, everything all the more lovely because we had no idea what was gonna happen. With trailers though, because you mentioned you do actually like trailers, I like trailers too, but what I do to get my trailer fix, because obviously we try not to watch them in the theater, I thrift a lot of movies. If you've seen any of my collection videos and stuff like that, I love to watch the trailers on my thrifted videos because oftentimes I will get DVDs that are from the early 2000s. I just recently got House of Wax and Napoleon Dynamite. And so the trailers on those are from other movies from the same year or whatever that are also coming out. And it's just hilarious.
Yeah,
they're
those
like,
are great.
They're like time capsules to other early 2000s movies. And so that's a great way if you also don't watch trailers, but you like trailers, that's a good way to watch them.
I was watching some old classics with my dad just recently, and a couple of movies that I've seen 50 times, 100 times in my life. I noticed that they had in the DVD sleeve the trailers, so that was great fun. I mean, I loved watching the trailers and seeing what they were like. These particular movies were in the 40s and 50s, and it was great to see how they did them. Trailers obviously today have become even more of an art form than ever. I mean, the anticipation, they're on social media, but I still just think they give too much away. I want to go in and really not have any idea.
Exactly. So we got pretty off topic. So the next topic that I want to cover for Run in particular is the score. And I wanted to ask you how you felt about the score of this movie.
Well, I mentioned to you, I would say halfway through the film, that I thought it was very well done. I mean, it was a classic orchestra. It was just great suspense, mystery soundtrack. It was classic is kind of how I felt about it. It reminded me of older days, kind of.
Also kind of Hitchcockian, maybe?
A little bit, yes. I mean, there was a lot of Hitchcock.
So with the score, something that you didn't mention is that they use a heartbeat for almost the entire duration of the movie as part of the score, which I found so interesting and so effective. Because in the beginning of the movie, when they used the heartbeat, it felt very comforting, which the heartbeat is one of the only things that a baby can hear while in the womb. They hear their mother's heartbeat. So at the time, in the beginning of the movie, it was a pretty comforting thing, and they would use it during scenes with Chloe and Diane, and you know, it made their relationship seem more sweet. But then by the end of the movie, the heartbeat is significantly sped up, and it's used to determine Chloe's mood more so, and it shows us when she's feeling really anxious, and it kind of makes you feel the same way. So it's very interesting, the contrast of how the heartbeat in the score made me feel in the beginning versus the end, how they played with that. I thought that was super unique and really cool.
And I didn't pick up on it. I mean, it's very subconscious for me now that you say it. I was paying more attention to just the orchestra music in the background, and now that you say that, I do remember that.
And the way that we both picked up on different things, I think this movie has a rewatchability in that the more you watch it, perhaps the more things you can pick up on like that.
Yeah.
Little things. There's also a scene where Chloe comes downstairs to look up something on the internet, and you see in the background, you can see Diane, and she's sitting in the kitchen, but it's very shadowed. It's something that unless you were looking for it, you probably wouldn't see it, because I was watching it with my parents. My mom didn't see it. She couldn't see her.
I didn't either.
I said, she's back
I
there.
didn't
She's
either
right
till the
back
second
there.
time.
So definitely has a rewatchability in that there are a lot of little things to pick up on in this movie. Next, I want to talk about one of my favorite scenes, which is the telephone scene. We talked about the cinematography with this one a little bit. This is one of those scenes that gave me serious Hitchcock vibes while still maintaining such a freshness. It was something I've never seen in a mystery, thriller, horror movie before. Someone calling all these different numbers, and then finally calling a stranger to
that was great.
To Google this medication, and that was quite a reveal as well. How did you feel about that scene, or what were your favorite?
Well, I thought it was great how they were using the lack of technology. The mother was withholding technology in a day where it's supposed to be modern world. It's supposed to be today, right? The film. Because early in the film, she's working on something. She's kind of an engineer, science kind of student, and she has stuff set up in her bedroom, and she's working on something. And her mom says to her, you know, you can't quite get that right. She said, well, I could if I had an iPhone. Well, later you find out that one of the ways that the mom is controlling Chloe is by withholding technology. I'm thinking, well, she just doesn't have an iPhone. She doesn't even have a cell phone. Her mom has a cell phone. In fact, it looks like an iPhone or a Samsung or something. Here we are in a movie for 2020, and we're watching this great scene on a touchstone telephone where she's trying to call 411 and then she's trying to just call somebody, have them do Google something. I just thought it was just a neat angle, because today it's just so simple And how do you withhold it and still have it be in modern times? And I thought the approach that the screenwriters took to that was nice.
That whole scene was just so Hitchcockian. I thought so much of Rear Window and then of Psycho, because, you know, we would have those two contrasting shots of from the outside angle and then from the inside angle. When we were inside, it was Rear Window. When we were outside, it was Psycho. I really liked that.
That's nice, yeah.
Another standout scene to me was the pharmacy scene when we found out that she was taking dog medicine. How did you feel about that scene?
I was trying to think of what she was going to find out at the pharmacy, and then from left field, you find out that her mom is feeding her some type of medication for dogs. So it took me completely off guard.
Yeah, because I thought that it was just going to be some other type of medication for humans, just maybe something that made her nauseous or something that would give her symptoms that were in line with the illnesses she thought that she had.
Right.
So when they said it was a dog medicine, that completely threw me off guard.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of them using kind of a cliched situation, something that's been done before, but then putting a unique enough twist on it to where they really made it their own and where it was, you know, a really good scene.
Because Mrs. Bates, the pharmacist, says, "Oh, I get the trick. This is for your dog." Well, they don't have a dog.
Yeah. Another standout scene to me was the army crawling on the roof and the water in the mouth and breaking the window using chemistry and heat and cold water and whatnot. I thought that was amazing, and it showed just how capable Chloe really was. And in a way, I feel like Chloe, even being wheelchair bound, was so much more capable and so much more badass than even some main characters in movies where they have the perfectly fine function of their legs. Ugh.
She was her own version of Superwoman. I mean, they set it up in the movie. How she could take care of herself. She had everything down all through her life, from getting up in the morning. You don't even know that she needs a wheelchair initially. You know that she has some kind of issues, but she can do just about anything. But in the end, her mom is still controlling her through just simple ways. The movie is simple in modern times.
I also want to point out that in the beginning, like I said, I was surprised to hear Diane describing her daughter as so capable and whatnot. And then the way they depicted her, they had this whole morning montage of Chloe having to take all of these meds. She had to, get into her wheelchair. She had to cough and kind of spit some stuff up in the toilet. The way she was shown, and then her actions later on.
But she was strong. She was getting dressed. She was just like a normal, but had those extra things that she had to do.
Yeah. I guess I just thought that it was kind of funny that she was proving everything her mom said to be true, because her mom was always trying to get the idea across that Chloe needed her, because she wanted Chloe to stay with her, and she wanted Chloe to feel like she needed her mom. So I just thought that was kind of funny that she was proving, throughout the entire movie how capable she was. Do you have any other standout scenes or favorite scenes before we talk about the ending, the climax?
Well, there's a couple scenes where she gets out of the wheelchair and then she's dragging herself because she doesn't have much control of her legs. Also reminded me of one or two scenes from Misery where James Caan is dragging himself.
Yeah.
She was strong. She showed strength in a woman, strength in a young woman. I thought was part of what they put across in this movie. Where James Caan, he still seemed kind of whiny a little bit, but Chloe, she's tough in this whole movie. She's tough.
I think in Misery, I think what you're saying kind of, with his character, it was more so showing the weaknesses of man, while this movie was more showing the strengths of woman.
Yeah, right. You said it better than I did.
So now, obviously, we have to talk about the crazy reveal of this movie, and so would you like to go first, or what were your thoughts? What did you expect from that outcome? What did you not expect? I mean, what did you think of that whole reveal?
I was thinking that she was going to find some kind of records of all the medication that she'd been being given. It didn't even cross my mind that she would find out that she had been stolen from her actual biological parents. I wasn't expecting that at all. It was a great twist.
Same, and initially with that whole reveal, you have her looking through that box of photos and you see that there is a child that was running around and playing. So I thought, okay, well, we already knew that her mom was kind of faking her sickness, was giving her these medications. Is that the whole reveal? Because that's a little bit boring. And then we find out that she was kidnapped as a baby from her biological parents. Her mom is not her biological mother. That was crazy. I did not expect that in the slightest.
I didn't either.
We kind of had similar feelings on that.
They never mention a man, a father, a man, a husband, a partner. They never mention it. So I thought it was all going to be just about she didn't want to be alone and she wanted her child to be reliant on her and never leave her. Then we find out, well, there's a little more complication here.
Yes, a lot more. And you find out that her mother, it's already crazy and horrible enough that her mother was making her believe that she was sick for her entire life. That's already bad enough, I will say that. But then you find out that she kidnapped her and she's not her biological. I mean, I feel like they blew it out of the water with that reveal.
No, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but then the movie doesn't end there and there is this whole showdown at the hospital, but I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I felt that the ending, the climax, it was just a little bit too easy. I felt that it was a little bit anticlimactic because they didn't even make it out of the hospital and her mom was just shot and fell down the stairs. It seemed a little bit easy to me, but how did you feel about that ending?
Well, I thought the same thing, but then the real ending.
Oh.
If it would have ended there, which it could have, and then they could have just showed her graduating from the University of Washington and, you know, smiling and with some friends around. But the way they really finished it.
So sinister.
Yes, so
sinister. And the resolution, I wanted to talk about that too, because initially, me, you, and Mom were all saying, why is she visiting this awful woman? Because I understand there is emotional complication. She's the woman that raised her.
Yeah.
Obviously, she does have love for this woman. She thought she was her biological mom for all these years. And really, the people that raise you are your parents.
Yeah.
But we were still going, you know, she found out all these horrible things that her mom had been doing to her, making her sick all of her life, making her wheelchair bound, probably for the rest of her life. She's kind of learning to walk now, but it's 7 years later.
Yeah.
She's still wheelchair bound. Yeah, we were all talking to each other saying, why is she here? Why is she visiting this woman? And then we find out that she is now drugging her mom and keeping her mom sick. And that, another crazy twist. I loved it. And it was just, and then they ended it just right there. They ended it right there. It was such a mic drop moment for an ending. I thought it was brilliant. I loved that ending.
I did too. And the same color pills started
the
whole
same pills, I know.
mystery.
The dog medicine.
Green and the dog medicine.
Right.
So good. There was a last line that she said when she was walking out. Now I can't think of what it was.
I don't remember. Did we see her walking out? I thought she just told her mom to open wide.
Oh, that's what it was.
So we have now covered the whole plot. I want to circle back to what I said in almost the very beginning of this video about how this movie is kind of a crossover between Misery and The Act. So Misery is a movie that you have seen. We love that movie. We think that's a great movie. And then The Act, for those of you that don't know, and you probably don't know.
I know it.
So it's based on a true story about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who was cared for by her mother, and her mom constantly lied about her age. She was always switching doctors. Gypsy lied about being in a wheelchair. She had a stomach tube, but there really was not really anything wrong with Gypsy, and her mom would just use her and keep her sick, you know, in order to get these state-funded gifts, these charity gifts and donations and things like that, and basically just exploited her for money. It's a very crazy story, but so obviously this movie is really quite reminiscent of The Act because it's about a mother that's keeping a daughter sick, keeping a daughter in a wheelchair, etc. So anyways, back to Misery. I was wondering if you would want to maybe compare and contrast the roles that Sarah Paulson played versus the role that Kathy Bates played and maybe draw some parallels with them.
Kathy Bates, I cannot remember her character's name in that movie.
Neither.
The whole setup in the beginning, she was so happy that he was there, and whereas Diane, from the beginning of the movie, even in the self-help class that she's in, she's a mean person.
Really?
Remember how she says to everybody, she really is disrespectful to the people in the class, and swears and says, I don't care, my daughter, I'm tired of
No, I don't think that was disrespectful at all. I liked that moment because it was an example of a mother that wasn't overbearing. It was a mother that was, I mean, it was obviously just an act, we find out, but it was a mother that was, you know, she had cared for her daughter, she believed in her daughter's strength, and she was ready for her daughter to be on her own and believed in her daughter to make her own choices and make her way in school. I didn't read that as a rude moment or anything.
I agree with you, but like I said earlier, she said, I haven't been able to travel for 17 years, I haven't been able to date for 17 years. I thought that she was just kind of a selfish, mean woman. That was how I got it. You're female, I'm male, I'm older, whatever. Where Kathy Bates was just explaining things and so happy that he was there. And Diane, she gets pretty miserable pretty quickly. Kathy Bates in Misery, even when he starts to try to get away, she in the beginning kind of goes along with him, says, oh, you shouldn't do that or anything. But that mom, right away, she takes that, not a broom handle, but a hoe handle and locks her in her bedroom so she can't get out even when she figures out a way to unlock it. And there is no cheer left in her the rest of that movie.
Yeah, I think there are definitely parallels between Kathy Bates's character lying about getting on the phone with the hospital and the roads being closed and things like that. And then with Sarah Paulson's character lying about the admissions letters and keeping the mail from Chloe. Yeah. There are a lot of parallels, especially with the story and their characters and the motivations and things like that. The only real difference is that Kathy Bates's character wanted a partner and Sarah Paulson's character, Diane, wanted a child. So definite parallels, maybe some slight characteristic differences between those two women, but I just felt that there was so much drawn from Misery and Kathy Bates with Sarah Paulson's character, you know? But that was pretty much the last topic that I wanted to cover, so if there's anything you thought that I missed or anything else you wanted to cover.
Nope, I think it was a good movie, and if you haven't seen it, I recommend it.
Alright, well, at this point, I mean, everything is pretty much ruined for you. I don't know if you'll enjoy it quite as much as we did, so hopefully those of you that are still here have seen it.
Well, we've left a lot out of it.
Kind of. Yeah, there are good moments we didn't talk about too, that's true. But overall thoughts, yes, I loved the movie, even if at times I thought it was a little bit derivative. There was enough that was fresh about it that I really liked. I think it deserves that quite high score on Rotten Tomatoes, honestly.
I do too.
But thank you so much for joining me. I'm not totally sure when I'll be back with my dad again on this channel or with Andorra, but right now we are watching the new episodes of Mandalorian that are coming out and we're loving it.
Yes.
I think I'm loving this new season more than the first one. I'm not sure, I need to rewatch the first season now. But we're obsessed, and so maybe when all the episodes are finished coming out, I'm not sure when that will be, but if they are all out by the end of December or whatnot, we'll probably make a video together reviewing season 2 of Mandalorian, so hopefully you guys are watching that as well. And I know that's not horror, but I'm kind of gonna start branching off a little bit more with the movies that I talk about. I think I'm gonna do a Harry Potter series because I'm getting ready to rewatch those movies and I want to talk about Harry Potter. But there are some horror elements in those movies. There are creatures.
That's for sure.
It's dark fantasy, so, you know, hopefully you guys will enjoy those videos as well. Thank you so much to my dad for joining us today. I hope that you guys enjoyed having him back. The lighting is so different now because I flew home, so I don't have my light or anything. It's just us and a tiny tripod and my camera, and it's just vibes. The next time I'm up here, I will be driving, and so I'll have my light, we'll have a better setup and whatnot, so that's why today was just a little bit funky. But I hope that you enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new. I post 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I also have a vlog channel, and last week I did post a video of the two of us going Black Friday shopping. We did a little collection haul, brand new movies that we picked up. So check that out. Subscribe to my vlog channel if you haven't. If you'd like to follow me on social media, everything will be linked down below, and I think that does it. Would you like to give a final note?
It's good to see everybody, and I hope I'm back before Christmas.
Me too. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I got you in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and Dora says goodbye too. Goodbye.